decency,
I don't want
but
the
is
other,
himself incapable of displaying it.
The conservatives don't have it in them to have that level of underlying substantive analysis as well. It's the lack of responsibility for January 6th. It's the lack of responsibility for the Gretchen plot. It's the lack of accountability for all the comments made about BLM protesters, George Floyd, for Hillary Clinton, for all of these.
What's up, guys? Dedtiny, we've showcased him on this channel multiple times. He went on this unhinged tirade on X, yelling at conservatives, yelling at the Twitter of the dead person that died in the assassination attempt against Trump. And he went basically crazy. A lot of prominent people, prominent YouTube celebrities, and honestly regular celebrities kind of commented on his situation. Even Piers Morgan here brought him on to discuss his insane tirade. And guys, I just want to tell you a little bit about Dedtiny's tactics so far. In this specific debate, his tactics is to put the wrong intentions behind the words. So if I say, for example, let's put a bullseye on Trump, he's going to say, oh, that's the intention. That's why the shooter did the shooting, because you said bullseye. You said the words, go put a bullseye on Trump, and you justified the shooting. Exactly the same argument he's going to use against Trump. He's going to say, well, in his speech, he says, give him hell or whatever. So he's like, well, this is the justification I have that he wanted Americans to go coup January 6th, right? And you can make the argument, I have already used it against Biden, and it doesn't work really well, so why would it work against Trump? But this is all Dedtiny has. Dedtiny has these weird mainstream media, bad whataboutism arguments that fail, and he has to actually lie. He has to say that the right wing is more unhinged than the left wing, which is absolutely BS. I've already proved this in multiple videos. Go check out my channel. There's a video where the Americans are crying that the shooter missed. Let me not talk more about this. Let's just jump into the Dedtiny section here from the Piers Morgan debate, and I'll just let Piers Morgan really destroy Dedtiny. I don't have to do anything myself.
But basically, because lunatics have wanted to eliminate them. Let me bring in Dedtiny, because look, you've been at the centre, as you know, of a massive online response to what you were saying, and I want to go through what you said, and I want to talk to you about this hopefully in a calm manner to try and understand what you were thinking. So on Saturday evening, hours after the shooting, you said, let me clarify, when I say conflicted, what I mean is I lean towards seeing it as a natural extension of the thing Trump and the MAGA kids support. So I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt enough to chastise people celebrating it. You couldn't find it in your heart to chastise people for celebrating the near assassination of a man who was president of the United States and maybe again?
Absolutely not. Conservatives have completely bled that well dry, and the idea...
Absolutely not. This disgusting human being.
The idea that they, after engaging in the most divisive and most extreme rhetoric that this country has seen in recent history, that they would come on and beg for sympathy, that it's escalated into some kind of violent confrontation, is absolutely insane. Even the idea right now of saying, well, if you call somebody a Nazi for so long, it's, what do you expect people to do? I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh call Obama a communist every single day he was on the radio. You've got conservatives that talk about how the mRNA vaccines were ways to sneak microchips into us. You've got COVID lockdowns that were done because the government's trying to take all your freedom away. They won't acknowledge anything that happened on January 6th. They say that the election was stolen and that your country is being taken from you. I don't think anybody should be killed. I don't think anybody should go out and kill anybody. But when you engage in this type of rhetoric...
I don't understand this. Isn't it the Democrats that are yelling out Russian collusion? Aren't the Democrats saying that democracy is about to die this election, and they said that democracy would die in the 2020 election as well? Isn't the Democrats the ones demonizing Trump and calling him a Hitler, right? And then wishing his speedy recovery, which makes no sense. Why would you wish the speedy recovery of Hitler? If you really believe he's Hitler, you have a moral duty to remove him from his position. You don't have a moral duty to go and wish him well and give him prayers to his family. Anyways, there's so many things that the Democrats are really unhinged on. Do you want me to show you the Rachel Maddow clips? I mean, I'll find them right now. I'll find the clips, but let's let Dedtiny keep digging his hole, where he's literally just lying to us and hoping to God that we're so stupid that we would believe the equation of oh my God, they're shoving this vaccine and mandating it so they can put chips in my body, is equatable to, dang it, I wish he didn't miss. Imagine that. Us being worried that they're mandating a medical emergency procedure on us and forcing us to take it is equatable to the wishing death upon the president of the United States. Can you believe that's how he argues? This is his bad argument. He's so bad. He's so unhinged. He's so bad at making arguments because he cannot. He has to lie. He has to, like, if he doesn't lie and he tells the truth, oh my God, look, the Republicans, they said the microchips and the vaccines. If he doesn't lie, he sounds so dumb. Of course, we're allowed to be skeptical about the vaccine. Of course. It's our human right to be skeptical about the vaccine. So why are you mad that I'm skeptical about the vaccine? And that's actually my right to be skeptical about the vaccine. It's not your right, though, to wish death upon the president of the United States. So there's two different situations, completely not equatable, but he's trying to say that they're the same thing. That the right wing is just as unhinged as the left wing because the right wing is worried about the mandated vaccine emergency that's pushed upon him, and the left wing wants the president dead. So they're equatable to one another in their rhetoric. It's absolutely insane, but that's how he debates, and that's how he wants you to believe that he's a smart guy, and he wants you to go argue against these bad points. I don't know how you're going to argue against this point. I want to see you guys argue against this. All you have to do is laugh, to be honest. I would never argue against this person. I would just laugh. I would say, haha, everything you said is a joke. You're going to equate those actions to lefties wishing death upon your president and wanting a second assassination attempt. Absolutely disgusting. Well, let's continue.
And when you turn the temperature up over and over and over and over again, there is absolutely no room for you to be shocked or surprised. And there certainly isn't room for you to ask for sympathy.
But you say, Dedtiny, you say you don't want anybody killed, and yet you say, I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt to chastise people celebrating it. It's people celebrating the near assassination of Donald Trump. If you can't find it in you to chastise people who do that, aren't you just as despicable as the people you've just spent the last 2 minutes haranguing?
Mm-hmm.
No, because they've led the way. This is the environment that they've created.
So you think behaving like the people you think are despicable is the correct course of action?
Not about behaving like the people who are despicable would be leading that type of rhetoric. It would be denying every single bad thing. How many times as a liberal? How many times as a liberal have you been on a show? Not you in general, but like a liberal been on a show and you've been forced to disavow all of the BLM riots, disavow all of the violence, and blah blah blah. And then you talk to conservatives about it. January 6th.
Violence,
that was
that's
a false
good.
flag.
Yeah.
January 6th. Oh, like conservatives disavow January 6th?
Wait. First off, there's an entire cultural machine that has lied. There is an entire
we just saw it in real time. That's it.
What?
That's why conservatives deserve absolutely zero sympathy for anything that happens as a result of their rhetoric. That's it. It's so easy. Like, it's so simple.
Okay, but
I'm not exactly sure.
Wait a minute. So I don't get this. We don't deserve any respect because we deny that January 6th was an actual coup attempt? And you haven't even been able to prove that it's a coup. I don't think anyone has been able to prove that it's a coup because you didn't put Trump in prison for it. You couldn't even impeach him. So to act like it's an actual successful coup and this is the legal definition of what happened on January 6th is BS. Now, you did put people in prison from that event, but I don't know if you put them in prison specifically for taking over the government or just for rioting and creating violence during the riot. But I want to show you guys before we continue this amazing compilation of lefties being absolutely unhinged and wishing actual damage on the president of the United States, like wishing real violence. Listen to this, guys.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
That's it right there. Pull it up.
I have thought an awful.
That's the dead. That's the head of the president. Do you guys want to finish? I'll finish the video.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
You tell me, you still believe Dedtiny when he says the left has been lowering the temperature and the right has been raising it? Do you guys still believe him after that evidence that I proved? Now let's go continue.
What he's talking about, but I would say this is the type of person that the internet has broke their brain, thus leaving them with very little empathy for their co-human. I mean, a good, decent father is now dead because of this. He's had his brains blown out because he was defending his wife and daughter. I would hope that you have a little empathy for that.
Let me jump in there because we have a clip of what Dedtiny has said about that very thing. Let's listen to this.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude, the firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay, just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, you don't, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am, 100%.
I mean, I got to say, I just found that repulsive, Dedtiny.
I wish that there is no room. There is no room for the hand-wringing, and I will not participate in this anymore.
Oh, it's not hand-wringing.
The hand-wringing.
It's not hand-wringing.
It absolutely is.
No, it's just that you are positioning yourself.
So well.
No, but Dedtiny, let me explain to you.
Where conservatives can say anything.
No, I'm not a conservative.
They can have any conspiracy theory.
I'm not a conservative.
They can have any plot. They can do any of these things, and then liberals are supposed to sit here and be like, "Oh my God, it's so tragic."
No, Dedtiny.
Absolutely not.
Let me explain.
Absolutely.
Let me explain my position because I'm not a conservative. I'm not on either side in your race, right? Here's what I think about what you did. You'd like to fire off, as you've done so far in this debate, about your fury at how disgusting Republicans are, how inhumane they are, how they never have any empathy, blah, 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 blah. And then you yourself actually are exactly the person that you're describing. You are inhuman. You are somebody who seems almost gleeful that a young firefighter with a family, with a wife and children, who he was protecting as he was shot dead, that he deserved what was coming to him because he went to a President Trump rally, a man who was president of the United States until recently for 4 years and maybe again. You sound almost gleeful, Dedtiny, and I'm sorry, that makes you, frankly, despicable.
Truth is, Dedtiny is always been like this. He's always been unhinged. He's just now using the right wing as an excuse for him to go on this tirade. And I know why. I think he's been assigned this mission to go and basically incinerate the rhetoric. Like I think he was assigned this job to go and basically take over the lefties' minds and make them, and definitely raise the temperature in their brains. Like he wants them to be incinerated. Like he wants them to be heated up and ready for a revolution or a riot. That's, I think, is what Dedtiny's assignment here is, and that's why he's using the right wing's words against them. The problem here is all he has is lies or misrepresentations or speculation on intentions, and they just look so bad, because if that's your whole argument to why you're being insane, It just doesn't make sense. You have to actually provide clear cut evidence. Like, the problem is he keeps saying that the right wing is unhinged, but the right wing never tried to assassinate the president, you know what I mean, of America, Biden. Whereas the left wing, I would say, is wishing death upon the president of the former president of the United States. And I've already made a video about this, and actually stay with me in the stream, guys. We're going to show you the Americans getting mad and crying, a full video compilation. Basically, this guy goes and interviews people. I couldn't believe it, and everyone is angry that the president is still alive. So you never see that from the right, ever. You only see that from the left. And that's my argument, that the left is more unhinged than the right. So Dedtiny actually has no arguments here, and he looks really bad when he uses the argument that the right is more unhinged. Well, the right is not wishing death of Biden. That's not what they're doing right now.
I don't think I'm gleeful about anything. I don't think anybody should die. I don't think anybody deserves to die.
You are gleeful.
You want to talk about gleeful?
Yeah, you are.
Conservative response to Pelosi's husband when they broke in.
I can answer that.
First of all, I need to deal with this. I need to deal with this point. There's no equivalency between Nancy Pelosi, husband, inviting a gay comrade of his over, and they get a little bit drunk and they get a little bit rowdy after some gay sex. What does that have to do with Trump almost getting assassinated in an assassination attempt, and the Secret Service completely failing at their job of protecting him, and that the left wing is still raising the temperature on him and violence against him? That's what we need to be discussing. We shouldn't be there's no equivalency between Paul Pelosi getting hit in the head by a gay lover and an assassin coming and assassinating Trump. Trump didn't call the gay lover over that night and then got mad that the lover didn't leave earlier, and so he called the cops on him. That's not what happened. So how can we equivalate this? And of course we're going to ask questions about the Paul Pelosi situation. What is that dude doing in your house? Why is he in your house? He seems like a friend of yours the way we saw the videos. So the Paul Pelosi situation, we didn't laugh at him. We didn't wish Paul Pelosi to die or damage upon him. We just wanted more information about that situation. And now, till today, by the way, the lefties will shame you if you say that there's something weird about the Secret Service failure. They'll shame you into stopping thinking about that. They'll call you a conspiracy theorist, and they'll shame you. Oh, you're insane. You're crazy. You're absolutely mental. Who is you? We shouldn't even listen to you. And that's what Cenk Uygur was doing in this interview, in this debate today. But let's go back to the Dedtiny argument, guys. Those are basically the biggest arguments I wanted to make here. Now I'm gonna let Piers Morgan just dismantle Dedtiny. I'm not gonna interject anymore. But yeah, boys, I think I've done enough job to show you and showcase that Dedtiny really has no arguments here, and he looks really bad. So let's finish up with Piers Morgan just absolutely dismantling Dedtiny.
Mainstream media figures
I can answer that.
I don't care.
I can answer that.
With all due respect, I don't care what your
Let
answer
me answer
is.
that.
The reality is that conservatives have been turning the temperature up on the rhetoric. They have been making fun of these types of events for years, and now when something happens to them, now they're looking for sympathy from the liberal side. Absolutely not. It's insane. It's unhinged that you can conduct yourself in such a manner.
Imagine you ask for the left to stop wishing death upon the Republican nominee. That's all we're asking for. Is just can the left just stop wishing death upon the Republican nominee? And that's I've proven this in videos. Lips of TikTok has shown multiple people that lost their jobs. She was able to get them fired from their jobs because it's absolutely crazy. It's unhinged things. It's raising the temperature. But I guess to Dedtiny this is totally cool. Sorry to interject.
And here's the problem. To feel sorry when things happen.
Why should anybody on the right listen to a word of your hectoring and lecturing about how they should behave? And by the way, for the record, the mockery of Nancy Pelosi's husband when he was attacked by an intruder with a hammer was also despicable, right? I can see despicable behavior on all sides, and I'm happy to call it out when I see it. You, however, want to present yourself as this great kind of standard bearer of decency who sees outrageous behavior on the right time and again and is incensed by this disgusting, inhumane behavior. And yet time and again, since the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, you have displayed exactly the same kind of inhumane behavior. Fuck him about a fireman who is killed because he attends a rally of a guy he wants to vote for.
My issue with the MAGA kids is not that they are not empathetic. My issue is that they support a president that led an insurrection against the United States. I'm not here to tone police over their empathy.
80 million people voted for Donald Trump last time round.
That's great. 80 million people voted for a guy that tried to insurrect the government, and it looks like they might try to do it again. I mean, like, I don't know what you want me to say. These are the facts on the ground.
Well, why is that the biggest issue in the world? Why is the insurrection the biggest issue? What about if I say, oh, our president raised the gas prices to $4 or $5 on average? That we should absolutely get rid of him. We need to absolutely get rid of him. Why can't we make that the argument? Why is the argument, this insane argument, that Trump led an insurrection? Like, I should be able to also be mad at Biden then for so many different things. Holy moly, I should be mad at Biden for increasing inflation. I should be mad at Biden for making interest rates 7% and ruining my life and not being able to buy a house. I should be mad at Biden for increasing unemployment with the feds. I should be mad at Biden for basically destroying the economy, the American economy, and sending all that money to Ukraine. Shouldn't I be mad at Biden for starting the Israeli war and the Ukrainian war? Aren't these all amazing reasons to impeach Biden and kick him out of office? But no, for some reason, the biggest devil on earth is the January 6th riots. The biggest devil on earth is the January 6th protest, which is an American right for you to go protest. Now, I will give it to you. It got a little bit out of hand, but it's your American right to go protest. And when the BLM happened, everyone was arguing that it was their rights to go and destroy people's houses on the left. So I don't understand why you won't give us the same leeway on the right as well. So the lefties should give the righties leeway and say, yeah, you guys were protesting. This is your right, and you should be allowed to protest. Instead, the left now is policing us from protesting, the righties, and saying, no, you're not allowed to protest. We're the only ones allowed to protest. If you go protest next to the Capitol, then we're just going to call you Coopers and we're going to put you in prison. That's literally what they're doing. I really don't understand why January 6th is the biggest devil in the world. I still don't understand. Can somebody explain it to me? I feel like Biden starting a Ukrainian war and killing 100,000 Ukrainians is a much bigger deal than the January 6th. I think maybe Biden increasing censorship, adding departments to censor online and censor in real life. I think Biden, enforcing these new tax agents against the American people. There's so many different things that Biden's done wrong that I don't understand why January 6th is the biggest issue. Just Biden condoning the BLM riots, that's another thing. Can we impeach him for that? Can we get rid of him for that? Why is January 6th the biggest demon on all of the world? Why? Is it just because the right wing there? It's absolutely, like, this doesn't make sense to me, guys. The lefty is so much worse than the right wing, and they've owned the government for the past 4 years. Like, they want to say, oh, well, look, the Republicans want to take your rights away, like your abortion rights. Yeah, well, you own the government. It's your government. You could change the abortion rights right now. You just won't. You could have codified the Roe v. Wade. Biden could have done that. He didn't. So now you're just going to use that against Republicans and act like the Democrats couldn't have saved that legislation. It's absolutely BS. Instead, they're just going to use it to demonize the right wing now. Like, this is my problem with the left wings. They can go and change the world today. Like, why is Biden starting a Ukrainian war? Why is Biden destroying our economy? Why is Biden censoring us online forever? But instead, the only problem in the world is, and why are we losing democracy, is because January 6th, Trump started January 6th. That's all they have. So they're totally okay with their economy being destroyed, people dying in wars all across, Russia being agitated against, nuclear war being fucking brewing. They're totally cool with that. That's not destruction of democracy in the world. But God forbid Trump lets you and calls out for protesters and says, it is your right to protest. Go protest. This is your right. Go protest. God forbid Trump gives us the ability to practice our fucking right. Then we are the biggest. That's the biggest demonic, satanic event that's ever happened in the history of all of America. And now Justin basically can go and yell at every single Republican in the face. I mean, this doesn't make sense to me, man. I can show you a million things Biden's done wrong, and I would never use those things to justify being insane and attacking him and raising the temperature on the rhetoric against him. I would never justify that like that. But of course, Dedtiny doesn't have values. He lets his wife do whatever she wants, and we can assume like anybody can step on his head. So of course he's gonna have this kind of mentality.
The idea that
so you don't like attacks on democracy. So presumably you would unreservedly condemn the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, because that's one of the most egregious attacks on American democracy in modern times. Presumably,
I don't think that
you will
anybody
take
should be
this opportunity,
trying to-
given you
I
are
don't
so
think anybody-
determined to protect the integrity of democracy, you would find it absolutely outrageous that someone has tried to assassinate a president, right?
If the other conservatives on this show want to say that it was absolutely outrageous
No, I'm
that Donald
asking
Trump
you.
attempted to coup the government,
I'm asking
then,
you.
then maybe I would. Yeah, no, I'm not going to get
What
on my
about
knees
his-
and beg.
I mean, he
for,
has no
forgiveness
arguments.
or show sympathy to conservatives. that
I'm
have
not
none.
asking for that. I'm
His
asking
only argument is the other side is worse than me. Like that's all he has, and this is such a bad debate tactic.
you to condemn what happened as an egregious attack on democracy. Can you do that?
No, I won't. No, I won't. I won't.
You can't do that. You see, so why the hell,
Absolutely
frankly,
not.
Destiny,
Absolutely not.
why the
Absolutely
hell
not.
should we listen to a
Absolutely not.
word?
Wait a minute, Destiny can't even say that the assassination attempt was an attack on democracy, but January 6th was an attack on democracy, but the assassination attempt, killing the Republican nominee, assassinating the political opposition of your party, the incumbent party, that's not an attack on democracy? Wow. Wow. Assassinating the Republican nominee, your political opposition of your incumbent party, is not a democracy attack? Wow. Unhinged. Who respects Destiny? I want to know. So I can debate you and embarrass you.
What do you have to say
Wait, hold
about...
on. Why do you think conservatives haven't been listening to a word that liberals have said about anything for 8 years?
Right,
what do you
but
think
why
is going to
should
change?
they?
You think
But
that if
here's my
liberals
point,
come out now
Destiny.
and they go, "Oh my God, this was so horrible,"
But here's
they're
my
going to go,
point.
"Wow, that is true."
Here-
Maybe that
wait a
was
second.
should also like
Charlie,
turn the rhetoric down a
Charlie,
little
I'll bring you in at the end of this. I promise you, and you'll get a good chance to respond. But here's my problem, Destiny, with your whole position on this, right? Is that you don't actually have anything inside you that you want the other side to have. You don't have any of the empathy. You don't have any sympathy. You don't care that someone tried to assassinate
I'm not
Donald Trump.
asking for
You don't
empathy
care
and
that a young
sympathy. You don't-
fireman
you
with a
don't need any
family
of that.
was
I'm not
killed in the
asking for
process. You don't
Just don't
actually.
support an
You are
insurrection.
not.
Destiny, let Piers Morgan finish a sentence, man. Why is he spazzing out? Calm down, Destiny. Let the guy finish the freaking question, man. What a bad debater. I mean, this guy is not inexperienced. Like this is only. So this is how I know this is actually a debate tactic. This is not inexperience. He knows that nobody can hear two people speaking at the same time, and still he interjects. This is a debate tactic. He's either trying to get Piers Morgan off of his rocks, like not to forget his line of thought, or he wants no one to hear Piers Morgan's actual points here. Both of them are really bad because this is not coming from inexperience. This is him doing this on purpose. To just freaking talk over somebody in the middle of a Discord debate. He knows nobody can hear anything. He's still doing it.
The person you want these other people to be, and all you do is play whataboutery with every question I give you. And I'm just startled.
It's not what about it. We're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about the temperature of this country. But here's a question for the two panelists. What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric? What do they think the answer to that question is?
What percentage could it be that the other side,
Zero.
as we just heard from Dave Rubin, has spent 8 years calling...
I mean, I've never seen anybody victim blaming harder than Destiny. He says the reason that Trump was assassinated was because he raised the temperature on himself? Huh? What? Yeah, this is your hero. This is your liberal hero, the liberal class. This is your hero. Zero argumentation, zero logic, zero debate power, zero aura, negative aura.
Donald Trump, the new Adolf Hitler, a person who was responsible for the murder of 12 million people, including 6 million Jewish people in a Holocaust. Last time I checked, Donald Trump hasn't murdered 12 million people. So much as you would like him to be the new Hitler, he's not. But again, to an impressionable young deranged mind who has easy access to guns, that can be easily interpreted as an existential threat, said President Biden. Somebody that needs to be put in the bullseye, said Biden.
Okay,
only last week. And guess what? Guess what? Somebody then comes forward and tries to kill the existential threat.
Rhetoric? Who is engaged in more divisive rhetoric over the 8 years? If you had to guess, if you had to assign a rough percentage,
Again, you're playing what about?
I would say Rachel Maddow.
Just as President,
it's not what
just as Joe Biden did last night. Just as Joe Biden.
I mean, this is BS, man. I'll tell you who's doing the most rhetoric. When the Democrats say democracy is on the ballot, and we're gonna lose democracy if we don't get elected. That, in my opinion, is the raising the temperature. That, in my opinion, is the damaging rhetoric. Nothing else is really as damaging as that. When you say let's put a bullseye on him and put him in the crosshair, that's damaging. Nothing else is as damaging as that from the Republican side.
On NBC last night, every time he was asked, have you done any soul searching about your own rhetoric, your own ill-advised use of language, he deflected it back to attacks on Trump. And you're doing exactly the same thing with Republicans.
And I will do the exact same thing.
You say Republicans
you want Biden
you say
to
that they are
disavow a
lacking in
bullseye comment when Donald Trump was saying Second Amendment people could maybe do something about Hillary Clinton. Like, no, it's absolutely deranged. The double standard that's being asked here is insane. And you heard both of them say it earlier. How much did Donald Trump's rhetoric contribute to the current environment? Oh, not much at all. Like, no, yeah, I'm not going to say anything to these people. Of course not.
You see, Destiny,
seem oddly unversed in any of the current events that have happened over the last couple of years. First,
but wait, does Destiny not recognize that when he makes the argument for the Second Amendment, like the speech that Trump said in the Second Amendment, go catch Hillary, my Second Amendment guys, go get Hillary, does he not understand that means that Biden saying it's time to put Trump in the bullseye is a damning statement? If all Trump has to say is, hey, my Second Amendment guys, go get Hillary, that's damning on him, that he's raising the temperature and trying to basically get her assassinated, then that means Biden saying 2 days or 3 days before the assassination attempt, saying, hey, let's put a bullseye, it's time to put a bullseye on Trump, then that's the 100% they're raising the temperature, and you could justify that the whole assassination attempt behind that one statement. This is the dangerous rhetoric of Destiny. He doesn't understand what he's debating. If it's enough for you for one statement to justify, for example, if Hillary Clinton was attacked, and you use that statement to justify her attack and say, oh, well, Trump was behind the attack based on this statement right here, does he not understand that I can also use that logic against Biden? That, hey, I'm going to look at the assassination attempt and look any statement before the assassination attempt, and I can link those statements to the assassination attempt intentions. Like, they happened because you made that statement. Does Destiny understand his own argument? This is so bad, man. I can't believe how Destiny's fell so low. You're supposed to get better every year in debates. Destiny just gets worse every year.
First off, politics is downstream from culture, right? And what has happened to our culture in the last 8 years? What has happened to our culture is that the mainstream media has lied about everything, always to the detriment of right-leaning people, whether it is the Russia hoax or COVID or Brett Kavanaugh's a serial rapist or the Covington kids are racist or Jussie Smollett was was lynched, or whether it was very fine people on both sides. Every single lie always goes against right-leaning people. So they are slightly annoyed and distrustful of people like you and other people in mainstream media who lie about literally everything. So perhaps
literally everything, like biolabs and Nazis in Ukraine, or like mRNA vaccines that are causing 20% excess deaths. There it is. Yeah, or the fact that COVID lockdowns were going to go on forever, and it was just an authoritarian abuse of power.
Excuse me, is biolabs a lie? Have we not found out that there's actual biolabs in Ukraine? Whatever.
Yeah, of course. Like, come on, dude. Conservatives are masters of misinformation, and it's happening right here.
All right, let me bring in Charlie. He's been waiting very patiently. Charlie, thank you for being so patient. Things have obviously got quite heated quite quickly. Let me give you your chance now to have your say after what you've been hearing from Destiny.
Yeah, well, first of all, Destiny represents to me a certain subsect of the left, I won't call it everybody, who likes to bully others into saying exactly what they want to hear. And if they don't say it, then you all of a sudden are the problem. And they handle it exactly like he's been handling it on the show. It's like a child throwing a temper tantrum. You can't get a word in edgewise. They just kick and scream and yell until you ultimately say, I've had enough, just say what you want to say and back down. And that's exactly what we see a lot of times from people on the left. And it infuriates me, because just like we saw on Saturday with the near assassination of Donald Trump, which that is exactly what it was. It was an assassination attempt, yet we have Dave, like you mentioned, all of the mainstream media putting out egregious headlines such as from CNN, Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startles former president and crowd, which completely mistells what actually happened.
Accurate. Here it is. This is the conservative. This is the game right now.
It is not accurate.
It's live right now. You know Fox News ran that same type of
first
headline,
of all,
right?
we are allowed in this country to ask questions. There was a lot of things that were very off on Saturday,
and other
from the way that the Secret Service handled.
So I love this country. God bless, I guess. Yeah.
You can see. There you go. He immediately resorts to
here we go.
Yes.
Here we go.
That is exactly the childish demeanor that I'm speaking about. On Saturday,
don't talk over each other. Let me just ask you this, Destiny. You were asked on that clip we played earlier if you'd have the same attitude if it was your parents who'd been killed at a Trump rally. And you replied, it's less end-of-life costs for me. Would I lose sleep over it? No. Do you understand how grotesque that sounds?
It sounds grotesque, but the environment that we're in right now is grotesque.
Why do you want to sound grotesque? I don't understand.
You cannot engage in behavior that leads us to this point, that brings us to the precipice, and then say, wait a second, are you taking this a little bit too far?
So just to be clear, hang on, Dave.
We are exactly here
just to be clear,
because of what conservatives have said.
Just to be clear, Destiny, if it was close members of your family or close friends who had gone to that Donald Trump rally and who'd lost their lives, one did, and two are critically wounded, if they had died there, you would lose no sleep over that. Is that your position?
No, of course I would be sad. It would be tragic, of course. And they are too. You'd be more sad.
Of course I'd be sad my mom died.
If you had a child that, tried to rob a store and the child got killed by the police, that would also be tragic and sad.
So you wouldn't think fuck them because they're your family then? You'd have a different rule for your own loved ones.
Would I feel more upset if a person very close to me died rather than a person farther away died? Yeah, I think the answer there is yes.
Yeah, but you weren't just to be clear, you weren't just not upset by the death of that firefighter who'd given great service as a firefighter to his country. You were gleeful and you said, fuck him. Fuck him.
I'm not. It's
Would
not
you
about
say
being gleeful.
fuck them if it was your family and friends?
Because he was a Trump supporter.
I would say that if they go to a rally like this and they support an insurrectionist president and something happens to them, I would feel sad on a personal level because they're my parents. But again, I learned from them more than anyone else. I grew up in Nebraska. You learn that if you mess around and if you do dumb stuff, that there are going to be consequences.
And would you think? All right. And would you be happy to say, you know what, fuck them? About your own parents.
His rhetoric is far more dangerous than I've ever heard anything that Donald Trump said, what he's saying right there. Yep. He is saying you should have no empathy or sympathy for your fellow human. We can all disagree. We can disagree about politics, of course. We can even disagree about how the media frames things. And
we can.
But he's basically saying show up to a rally and get killed. And that is absolutely psychotic. I'm sorry. And the other part of this that's strange when people are calling for unity right now is if this had happened to Joe Biden, if Joe Biden had been shot at and had part of his ear blown off, the very people calling for unity right now would be calling for the rest of us to be put in jail. So there's a strange asymmetry there as well.
And I would ask this.
The strange asymmetry was Biden trying to make a phone call to the wife of the killed firefighter and her rejecting the call and Donald Trump not even reaching out, okay? That's the asymmetry. When you talk about, it's just...
By the way, this is complete lies. This guy's an A1 sauce liar, man. My understanding is Trump raised 2.4 million or even 3 million at this point, I think, for the family of the deceased. And he actually spoke to the wife, my understanding. What a load of BS. Of course she's not going to accept a phone call from Biden. He's the one stoking and raising temperature. Of course, she's not going to accept the phone call. He's the reason he's behind her. He's behind the assassination of Trump. Because he's the political opposition. No one else gains from it. So, of course, she's not going to answer the phone call. And this is a lie that Trump didn't talk to her. He raised for the family $2.4 million. Absolute liar. This is all Destiny has is lies.
Politics. This is the cancerous brain rot that conservatives have fooled everybody into thinking. It's not just politics to think that vaccines will kill you, okay? I've got 3 dead family members.
It's an emergency vaccine. We have the right to be a little bit skeptical. It doesn't make sense that you're shaming us and calling us conspiracy theorists for being skeptical about emergency medication and procedures we put in our bodies. This doesn't make sense to me. When did the left become the the cuck party. When did they become the cucked party, where they ask no questions and they follow every single order that the government forces upon them? I don't understand this. Why should we take the vaccine? Why? You haven't proven anything. You haven't proven its effectiveness. Turns out you couldn't even. You wanted to take 75 years. When the emergency was happening, you wanted to take 75 years before you give us the data behind your testing. So why would we trust the emergency vaccine? That doesn't make sense to me. And anybody that actually trusted the vaccine now recognizes that it's actually hurted you. Like, there's so much evidence. Even the actual NHS, the national, no, not NHS, the CDC. The CDC recognizes, listen to this. The CDC recognizes the effects of pericarditis or myocarditis, and they understand that there's a risk behind taking the vaccine and getting myocarditis and pericarditis, which is a different murmur in the heart. And they said, still we believe the efficacy of the vaccine trumps the risk behind getting myocarditis. So we understand that there's a risk of getting myocarditis, but we believe getting COVID-19 would be riskier, so we are still pushing the COVID-19 vaccine. And they said the only thing they changed is now they're recording any myocarditis events that happen post the vaccine. That's the only thing that changed. And so they recognize that there's a risk of increasing, of getting myocarditis after getting a vaccine. So there's a risk behind getting disease that's not related to COVID-19 after the vaccine. And they're still pushing the vaccine. Tell me how are we wrong by being skeptical again? I still don't understand. What is Destiny's argument here, that we were wrong by being skeptical? Like, the American people don't have a right to be skeptical? Is that what he's trying to argue here? I don't understand this. Because all of this has no equivalency to an assassination attempt on the president. All of this has no equivalency of calling violence and rhetoric, and Madonna saying, I want to bomb the White House. There's no equivalency between these two at all.
Members from COVID.
There's no equivalency between Republicans saying, hey, we're weary about this vaccine that they haven't been able to prove its efficacy, and Madonna calling out for the bombing of the White House. There's no equivalency here.
We'll get a vaccine. Okay, after both of them were in the military, these guys went up and down.
I'm not vaccinated.
I'm sure you're not. Don't worry. We can all tell. We can all tell. My parents went up and down a line when they did basic training for the Air Force. They got 20, 30 vaccines each. My dad has a vaccine injury in his shoulder.
So what?
The idea of not getting vaccinated
was any of these vaccines an emergency vaccine that was mandated upon them in a brand new technology, mRNA, never been used before in vaccines? No, none of them were. So shut the hell up. There's no equivalency here. Saying that my parents got a polio vaccine is not the same as saying my parents got the COVID-19 vaccine. They're not even the same word. Like, the word vaccine is the same, but the mechanism behind the delivery of the medication totally do different things. They're not even the same word. It's like the Newtonian gravity and Einstein's gravity. They're the same word, but they're totally two different mechanisms of getting there.
Unconscionable to them until the conservatives spread these messages that are just politics.
Let me ask you this, Destiny. Let me ask you this,
When science has shown that the vaccine actually was one of the worst things you could have done for yourself. Thank God I didn't get vaccinated. I thank God every single day I didn't get vaccinated.
Let's not get. I don't want to get. I don't want to get back into COVID. I don't want to get back into COVID, right? Hang on, Charlie.
Asymmetry of it all.
Hang on, Charlie. I don't want to get down into COVID again. I want to stick to this story, and I want to ask you, Destiny, about Elon Musk, who is responded to one X user who was calling for him to demonetize you on the X platform. And he said, you're right, this is not appropriate content for advertisers because of the offensive tweets you were aiming at Trump supporters. What is your response to Elon Musk?
The same response as it always has been. Elon Musk is a thinly veiled, I would say, like, anti-woke, anti-SJW, basically right-wing supporting guy. And if you say things that they don't like, of course they'll demonetize you, they'll cancel you. Conservatives are some of the least principled people in the universe when it comes to freedom of speech. As soon as they have any power to demonetize or spam report somebody's sponsors or anything like that, of course conservatives will jump onto it. My account also was demonetized, I think, in like 12 hours. Thank you very much, Elon Musk. Although I do notice that my docs has been floating around Twitter for 2 days now, and tons of accounts that I've ever reporting that haven't been banned yet, but I'm glad we've got our priorities straight there.
Again, here's what I think we're all struck by. Your position seems to be that anyone from Donald Trump to his supporters who represents their thinking, their ideology, their political views, that if they are killed by an assassin, at a rally, then they deserve what's coming to them. And in your words, fuck them. I mean, do you not understand that to most decent Americans and to decent people around the world, that is incredibly offensive and makes you look like a two-faced hypocrite, somebody who wants the other side to behave to a certain level of decency, but is himself incapable of displaying it.
The conservatives don't have it in them to have that level of decency.
So why don't you rise to a higher bar? Why don't you yourself show them the promised land, Destiny? Show them the way they should be behaving.
Have been doing it for 8 years. There's nothing to be gained there. So instead, we'll just have a laugh instead. When you're asking for this type of decency, you're saying like they did for Pelosi's husband, like they did for BLM people, like they did for the endless. He didn't die, but he got the crap beat out of him with a hammer, and they made jokes about his gay lover.
The jokes were disgusting. Why can't you say the same thing about the people making mockery of Trump? Why do you join the mob?
It's not just because it's not just the jokes. It's the underlying substantive analysis as well. It's the lack of responsibility for January 6th. It's the lack of responsibility for the Gretchen plot. It's the lack of accountability for all the comments made about BLM protesters, George Floyd, for all of these.
But by your yardstick, what the Republicans should do in response is simply say, fuck all of them. Fuck them all. Who cares?
Piers, that's what you're not understanding. Piers, listen to me. This is what you're not
understanding. They already
are. You keep bringing this up to me. Like, well, Destiny, if you act like this, aren't conservatives just going to do...
And
then you say a thing, but they've done this for 8 years.
Right, so
they're going to continue to do it.
The other side is horrendous, therefore I'm going to be even more horrendous. It's so unprincipled.
The horrendous part about the conservatives isn't just the rhetoric. It's the underlying factual denial of reality. That's the biggest. That's the huge issue.
Says the Democrat.
Let me bring Charlie.
Says the Democrat. Says the guy that's basically their slogan is "We lose democracy if the other side gets elected."
Back to respond to that, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the opposite. I think that, Destiny, you are completely fueled solely off of emotion, whereas I think that I'll say conservatives, even though I think that it spans past conservatives, when they look at the facts of the summer of BLM, the BLM movement as a whole, January 6th, this assassination attempt, when you look at the facts, things unfold before your eyes and they reveal themselves to be actually what they are. There's a lot of evidence that has come forth since all of these events in the past have occurred. And they have shown that exactly what conservatives were saying were absolutely correct. Just like the assassination attempt on Saturday, we look at what went wrong. We look at not only was this one rooftop unguarded, but how did the gunman know that the rooftop was unguarded? Why was it that local law enforcement alerted the Secret Service moments before shots were fired?
I mean, we're allowed to spectate on, like, we're allowed to be skeptical on this. You're not allowed to shame us and guilt us from thinking about this situation. The Secret Service 100% failed, and we need to know why. Now I'm allowed to speculate on this. I'm allowed this. That's all what I do here on this channel is I speculate, and that's what I give you a disclaimer that this is all speculation. But we're allowed this. You're not going to shame me and guilt me away from thinking.
There is actually a very good question.
Do you think January 6th? Do you think J6 was a false flag?
Yeah, it's a protest. It's just a regular protest.
There's a lot of discussions to be had. I think there's a lot of facts that came forward. They're definitely...
Okay, is BLM was BLM a takeover of America? No, it wasn't. The same thing as January 6th wasn't a takeover of America. You cannot take over America with no military. You just can't. This makes no sense to me.
These guys are destroying the country.
Destiny.
I mean, this is BS, bro. I mean, who's more raising the temperature? The guy saying that Republicans are destroying the country, or the people trying to calm him down? Who's raising the temperature here?
There were agents present. We know for a fact.
Destiny, here's your problem
with
me.
There were agents present on January 6th. We saw the tourists being ushered into the Capitol building. They're being treated like terrorists. And in fact, several months ago, Vivek Ramaswamy said it's only fair that we're able to have.
Will you let her finish the sentence?
Okay, let me say what
we're not able to have a conversation about anything because of people like you.
Let me just say what I think about January 6th, because I wrote it at the time and I believe it today. I thought it was a shameful attack on the heart of American democracy. It was an attempt to thwart democracy taking place. It should never have happened. Everyone involved in any violent act that day was utterly shameful. Donald Trump's rhetoric that day was appalling. All those things are completely true, Destiny. I can happily subscribe to that.
Neither of your other guests.
But here's the thing.
Neither of these guests agree with that.
But if I'm a Republican,
Piers, do you understand? Piers,
but
do
if
you
I'm a
acknowledge that neither
Republican,
of them
yeah, but
agree
here's
with
the
what you
thing,
just said?
Destiny. If I'm a Republican listening to you, I'm thinking, hang on. This guy thinks we're all disgusting. We're reprehensible. We have no empathy.
No, they don't.
Know that.
You're a liar.
He himself is proud of
You're a
being
liar.
even more disgusting.
Not absolutely. And then I would say, wow, well, nothing has changed from since before COVID.
You're such a
before
liar,
the
bro.
vaccines, before J6, when they thought the election was stolen.
The vaccine.
We were forced into lockdowns.
The vaccine is raising the temperature. Us asking, hey, is this even safe to take? Why are we getting mandated this vaccine? Is raising the temperature. That's how crazy this human being is. And people actually come to my comment section and belittle me when they follow this insane dude.
The reason when they thought that George Soros and the World Economic Forum
Is George Soros not toppling countries right now? Was George Soros not adopted by a Nazi? Did George Soros not go on Nazi routes and steal Jewish people's items from them? Did George Soros not come into the US, start a hedge fund, and topple out governments? Did George Soros not destroy the Russian currency and the Chinese currency? What a load of BS. And now we're going to tell me George Soros is also a conspiracy theory. What a load of bullshit. He runs a $100 billion hedge fund. He controls currencies. And he's a Nazi. He's literally a Jewish atheist Nazi. And you're going to tell me that's a freaking conspiracy theory. Whatever. I'm done listening to Destiny. If you guys want to keep listening to him, go to the Piers Morgan debate. I've responded to every trash argument that Destiny made. I want somebody to come on my comment section and say I didn't. I stepped on Destiny's head intellectually, and I dare him to come debate me any moment, any time. I bet you he would never debate me ever. Not him and none of his goons would ever do that. I'm interested in your opinions, guys. Did I get anything wrong? I bet you I didn't get a single thing wrong. But I bet you I've exposed that Destiny got a lot of things wrong. So leave a comment, like my videos, and subscribe.